This US Admiral has become one of the most visible military leaders in the world today. With conflict ongoing in the Middle East, as head of US Central Command in the region, his decisions carry global consequences, and millions watch his briefs. In this video, we're going to look at the life, military career, and medals of Admiral Brad Cooper. With the current US-Israeli war against Iran ongoing, this chap's been making regular appearances on TV and social media recently. And since a few of you asked wanting to learn more, it's time we made a video. So let's dive in. Charles Bradford Cooper Jr. was born in Winston-Salem in North Carolina in 1967. Cooper's father was a career US Army officer. Cooper would graduate from high school in Montgomery, Alabama, and decide on a career in the US Navy. He would enter US Navy Academy as a cadet. The Naval Academy, based in Annapolis, is the second oldest of the 5 US service academies, and it educates midshipmen for service in the Officer Corps of the United States Navy and US Marine Corps. About 1,000 midshipmen graduate and commission each year as either ensigns in the Navy or second lieutenants in the Marine Corps. After completing the arduous curriculum, in 1989, Cooper would graduate with a bachelor's degree in economics. After graduating and not wanting to be a steely-eyed submariner, Cooper would choose a career in the surface fleet, and he would opt for the path of surface warfare officer for the rest of his naval service. In one of his first deployments, Cooper would serve as CIC watch officer on the Ticonderoga class cruiser, Thomas S Gates. The CIC, or Combat Information Center, is essentially the nerve center of a warship and focuses on analysing sonar, radar or intelligence data, amongst other things. After Iraq's invasion of Kuwait in 1990, Thomas S Gates deployed as part of Task Force 60 with the aircraft carrier USS John F. Kennedy, operating primarily in the Mediterranean and the Red Sea in support of Operation Desert Shield. As part of her tasks, the cruiser escorted the carrier, conducted maritime interdiction to enforce sanctions, and screened shipping traffic at the Suez Canal, acting as gate guard. The ship would also be involved in short operations around the Gulf of Aqaba. As Desert Shield progressed to Desert Storm, the ship mainly coordinated air defence and escort duties for the carrier battle group as the air and ground campaign unfolded in Iraq. Throughout the 1990s, Cooper would continue to serve in other roles, such as the operations officer on USS Fitzgerald and USS Anzio. As a crew member on these ships, Cooper would be involved in the enforcement of the no-fly zone over Bosnia and other tasks in the former Balkans, for which he would receive a NATO former Yugoslavia medal. Over the decade, he steadily built up operational experience in maritime security, navigation and shipboard leadership, operating in many theatres such as the Caribbean, Adriatic and Persian Gulf. Some of the roles that Cooper's ships were involved in at this time included migrant operations off Haiti, intercepting smugglers and traffickers in other areas in the Caribbean and globally, as well as interdiction operations in the Persian Gulf. Cooper would go on to serve as flag aide to the commander of the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group, as well as being promoted to executive officer of the USS Vicksburg. In 2003, he would receive the Surface Navy's Admiral Elmo Zumwalt Award for visionary leadership. This recognises sailors who demonstrate visionary leadership, innovative thinking and dedication to improving the welfare of their sailors. Loosely around this time, he would also earn a master's degree in strategic intelligence from the National Intelligence University, a US government graduate school that educates and trains professionals working in intelligence and national security. Around 2006-2007, Cooper would command the USS Russell, an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer. The Russell would primarily be deployed in the Pacific, And Cooper's command would include operations in the South China Sea, as well as conducting a 3-month deployment with the USS Ronald Reagan Carrier Strike Group. Cooper would recall, speaking of the Russell and its tour with the USS Ronald Reagan, "We deployed on 10 days' notice, which is a pretty short time frame since our return from our 6-month deployment." I assume that was a prior deployment. During the deployment with the Ronald Reagan, Cooper would earn the Battle Efficiency E Award, along with over 50 other sailors from the crew. The award is given annually for those that win competitive assessments for top operational readiness, safety, and efficiency in the US Navy. At some point as well in his career, he would also find time to study national security policy and international relations at Tufts and Harvard University. Cooper would then command the USS Gettysburg in 2013-2014. Apparently, before Cooper arrived, morale was at rock bottom in the crew. Cooper would turn that around, making it his mission to let the crew know he trusted them and work to improve the ship's efficiency and the crew's confidence by improvements such as changes to duty sections. The ship would go on to win the Battenberg Cup as the best ship in the Atlantic Fleet in 2013. Interestingly, the Battenberg Cup was originally a rowing contest between our Royal Navy and the US Navy. Clearly a fix, but allegedly, for over 30 years, the US Navy beat the Royal Navy in competition every time, except once, before it was eventually stopped with the outbreak of World War II. Maybe the cunning Yanks supplied our lads with leaky rowboats or dodgy oars. Who knows? Cooper would also be awarded the Legion of Merit for his accomplishments on the Gettysburg. Cooper would be hailed for his remarkable memory and attention to detail. He would even remember sailors' names and their personal interests from conversations he had with them briefly years before. On the ships he commanded, reportedly he became an exceptionally popular commander, and he would take a genuine interest in every service member's welfare, from senior officers to junior sailors. I paraphrase here slightly, but Cooper would say of his career, "I get excited before every tour. I love sailors and I love ships. I believe the surface force has strong momentum." He would then be given a shore role and approximately between 2014 and 16 was serving as Director for the Surface Warfare Officer Distribution and Career Management Division. Then promoted to Rear Admiral between 2016 and 18, Cooper would serve a tour as Commander US Naval Forces Korea, based in Busan in the Republic of Korea. Cooper would describe his time in Korea as one of the tours where he learned so much, both professionally and personally dealing with different cultures and allies. He would particularly enjoy the mixed accommodation, where US and Korean families lived side by side in residential neighbourhoods. During his deployment, there were heightened tensions with North Korea, including missile tests. Cooper would oversee and manage the arrival of 3 US aircraft carrier groups, as well as large coordinated naval and air operations in his area of responsibility. At the time, this was the largest deployment these 3 carriers in the region since the Korean War. They would conduct combined exercises with the Korean Navy to act as a deterrent to North Korea. As a Navy man, Cooper places importance on what he terms are the 4 ships. Partnerships, relationships, friendships, all underscored by superb leadership. And I'll read this bit out to you because I keep cocking it up. He also believes we are at the dawn of a new era in cutting-edge revolution in technology in AI and unmanned vessels. He believes in the power of AI to support future missions in roles such as reconnaissance and routine monitoring. From an efficiency perspective, it doesn't impact on crews so much having an unmanned vessel out there for months on end. Over the course of his career, Cooper would also have a number of shore-based roles, including Special Assistant to the Commander of US Africa Command, AFRICOM, headquartered in Stuttgart, Germany, Flag Aide to the Commander US Pacific Fleet, headquartered in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, and 3 tours in the Navy Personnel Command as an assignment officer, including service as the Deputy Director for Surface Warfare Officer Assignments. He would also command the Expeditionary Strike Group 7 in Okinawa, Japan, as well as serving as Senior Military Assistant to the Under-Secretary of Defense for Personnel and Readiness. In total, before Cooper reached the rank of Rear Admiral, he would deploy at least 9 times and participate in 13 real-world operations. If you search for Brad Cooper online, don't get confused with a brooding hunky actor, but unbelievably, Admiral Cooper shares more than just a name with the actor and model Bradley Cooper, voted sexiest man alive by People magazine. Cooper the Navy man was also a male model, although not for Louis Vuitton like the other Bradley Cooper. He would say, "I may not be the most handsome today, but at the age of 9 months old, I was actually the model that appeared in America on baby jars called Gerber. Back in the late 60s, if you had any baby food, my picture was in the front." Clearly I'm still waiting for my male modelling contract. It must be delayed in the post somewhere. In April 2021, Cooper was promoted to Vice Admiral and given command of the US Naval Forces Central Command, NAVCENT, based in Bahrain. This included being in charge of the 5th Fleet and several other task forces. In this role, he led multinational efforts to counter Houthi threats in the Red Sea. This would involve coordinating over 20 nations attempting to maintain a constant presence across key waterways. This would support missions such as Operation Prosperity Guardian. Additionally, Cooper established Task Force 59, advancing naval unmanned and AI operations, including the first weapon deployment from an unmanned platform. He would also establish Combined Task Force 153, which aimed to establish security in the Red Sea and the now notorious Bab al-Mandeb and the Gulf of Aden. He would spend 3 years in this role, establishing relationships across the region, and it can be argued that in this position he was just as much diplomat as military leader. Interestingly, and I did forget to mention, Cooper would also serve a tour in Afghanistan in an advisory role to the Interior Minister, focusing on conducting reforms for the Afghan police and army as part of the Combined Security Transition Command. In April 2023, Cooper was nominated for reappointment as Vice Admiral and assigned as the Deputy Commander of the United States Central Command, CENTCOM. He took office in February 2024. And just over a year later, he was nominated for command of CENTCOM, selected over Army General James Mingus. A supporter of a continued US military presence in Syria, Cooper took command at a time when Israel has become a central focus for CENTCOM. Israel officially came under CENTCOM area of responsibility in January 2021. Before that, Israel had been under the US European Command. The justification for this was that the move allows for better military coordination, joint exercises, and regional defence planning. The move to place Israel in the CENTCOM AOR was furthermore partly driven by the Abraham Accords, with a goal to boost security cooperation between the US, Israel, and aligned Arab states against Iran and its proxies. Since starting the job, Cooper would play a key role in building and shaping these new strategic partnerships in the region, working particularly closely with the Israeli Defense Forces. Cooper is seen as a critic of Iran and a supporter of Israel. As commander of CENTCOM, Cooper would be a key military figure in the upcoming planning and preparation for the US conflict with Iran. In the weeks before combat began, he participated in negotiations and also briefed senior US leaders like Chairman of the Joint Chiefs Dan Kane on possible military options, helping shape strategic planning. On February 28, 2026, on instructions from the White House, Cooper ordered the commencement of Operation Epic Fury, a jointly coordinated US-Israeli campaign which is the most significant American military action in the Middle East since the Iraq War. As of the time of this video, the war is ongoing, and Cooper is seen on TV and social media giving regular updates and briefings as the war progresses. His medals are Defence Distinguished Service Medal with 1 Oak Leaf Cluster, Navy Distinguished Service Medal with 1 Gold Star Award, Defence Superior Service Medal with 1 Bronze Oak Leaf Cluster, Legion of Merit with 4 Gold Star Awards, Bronze Star Medal, Defence Meritorious Service Medal with 2 award stars, Meritorious Service Medal with 4 award stars, Joint Service Commendation Medal, Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal with 4 award stars, Joint Service Achievement Medal, Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal. Service and campaign medals include National Defence Service Medal with Bronze Star, Armed Forces Expeditionary Medal, Southwest Asia Service Medal with 2 Bronze Stars, Afghanistan Campaign Medal with 1 Bronze Star, Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Career Defence Service Medal, Armed Forces Service Medal with Service Star, Humanitarian Service Medal with 2 Service Stars, Military Outstanding Volunteer Service Medal, and his foreign awards include Defence Cooperation Medal from Japan, Order of National Security Merit from Korea, NATO Medal for former Yugoslavia, Kuwait Liberation Medal from Saudi Arabia, Kuwait Liberation Medal from Kuwait. In his ribbons as well, he's received various unit awards as well as individual service ribbons. I've got to say that is the biggest, most impressive ribbon rack I think we've covered so far on this channel. We've yet to cover General Zhukov from the Soviet Union, but I'm pretty sure Cooper's up there with the likes of Monty and Patton, who we've covered before. And those were chaps with ribbons so large you could eat a 3-course meal off them. Quite remarkable. Finally, and I struggled to fit them in here, but he also has rifle and pistol marksmanship medals. One point to note here as well, with Cooper being a serving sailor, there are likely more awards or decorations which may come as well. I've done my best to research his career, but unlike other commanders, he does seem to have a slightly lower profile on the PR front, which has made it slightly more challenging for me to get things such as exact timelines on his career development and progression, etc. All I can say is I've done my best. Thanks for watching. I hope you found some value from this, and I'll see you in the next one.